Alright, my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Astrid. I am the owner and creator of CoffeeFluttersBtq, where we create cute punch needle designs. We make stickers, totes, we have cups, and a lot of other little different things. And in this channel, I take you along my journey of building my small business and sharing the ups and the downs of my small business and being as honest, as transparent as possible, and sharing everything that I know about building a small business, you know, sharing the emotional and mental health piece to running small businesses. And yeah, so thank you so much for being here. I totally appreciate you. If you are not already subscribed, please subscribe. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. So today's video is going to be about my holiday craft market experience that I participated in December 15th. So it was a while back. I just have had a hard time to film this video because of time. You know, I do have a 9-to-5 and I am a mom and I have a dog. So, and you know, our family has just been really sick. So I've just have not been able to record because I've sounded terrible. But I am feeling so much better now and I am excited to be able to record this video. And it is my first craft market ever as CoffeeFluttersBtq, which is super excited. This was the first time that I ever participated in a craft market this size. So let's talk about the good details. So this craft market ran from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. They hosted this craft market at a family sports center, and the family sports center is called Longplex. So this craft market was located in Tiverton, Rhode Island, and it was about 35 to 40 minutes from my house. Visitors were allowed to begin to show up at 7 a.m. to unload and start building their booths or setting up their area. We left around 7 a.m. from my house and we drove there. We stopped by for some coffee and some quick breakfast, and we ended up arriving around 8 a.m. So when we did arrive, there was a lot of traffic. There was at least, I'd say at least 30 cars in line waiting to unload and bring their stuff in. I was lucky enough to, when I arrived, I was being directed to the other side of the building, which they had just opened up so that more cars can unload because there was just so much traffic. And I was directed to the side, and yeah, we pulled up. We were basically right in front of the door and we had the opportunity to unload. So we unloaded the car in about 8 to 10 minutes. It was really quick. I actually bought one of those wagons with me. I don't know if you guys seen those wagons where people take like to the beach or camping and you can put all your things in there. I actually have one to go to the beach, and so I decided to bring it along to like load all my things in. So the booth cost was $105. So it was $100 for the booth spot, but they did charge me an extra $5 because I sent payment through PayPal instead of sending a check, which, you know, in my opinion, I thought was ridiculous. This particular market was, I believe it was like a vendor's market and event going on. So it was like a Christmas event type of thing, and they hosted a bunch of markets, and they had several bouncy houses and slides, and they also had a Santa Claus. And so families were coming in to take pictures with Santa, go on the bouncy house with the kids, and then they had the option to shop around a lot of different vendors. This event had, I'd say, like 75 to 100 vendors. It was massive in there. All right, so let's rate this market. I'm going to be using like a letter system, kind of like a grading. I rate this market a D+. Yes, I know it is very, very low. But my rating for this market is D+. D+ is equivalent to like a 69% out of 100 if you wanted the numbers. Why did I rate it D+? Ooh, where do I get started? The idea of this market could have been absolutely successful if the organizers would have organized this market the correct way. And that's only from what I know of all the research I've done and what I've seen and what I've read in groups and stuff, from what, you know, a market should look like. And even me attending markets and what I've seen in markets. And this was absolutely chaos, to be honest. We wanted to quickly just find where we were stationed so that we can just leave our stuff there and then go park the car, because they were having us park a little far, so that they can leave all the closer parkings, or the closer parking lot to customers. I saw like a line to the side where they were waiting for someone, and I got into this line and there was a person ahead of me, and she was talking with this gentleman. I'm assuming that this is a person that knew where we were supposed to be. And this gentleman then gets a phone call and he walks off to take his phone call. And we're thinking he's going to, you know, just take the phone call quick and come back. Well, we stood there for, I'd say, a good 20 minutes before we can find someone else to help us out. He never came back. He stayed on his phone call, and we sat there just wondering where we were. And so then someone else had found out that they had the names of our shops and our last names on all the tapes wherever that we were sectioned off. So then I decided to then walk around and look for my name. And I walked around for like a good 5 minutes on one area only, and I could not find anything. And a lot of the spaces had no name, had no last name, so we didn't even know whose they were. And then there was a whole other section that was the turf field, had no signal of where your spot was at all. So it was just, it's like they didn't finish marking the spots. A total of like 45 minutes to find where I was. And in my opinion, I think that's outrageous. Like, it should not take that long to tell me where my booth is going to be. This should have been organized already. There should have been a map already. It should have been numbered. There should have been signs indicating where, you know, number 90 to 100 is in this section. And other vendors, she kind of took the initiative to really figure things out. So she grabbed the roster and she started looking through it, and then like helping people out to find their shops, and there was a number on everyone's shop. So whatever number you had, that was your section. Okay, so then she was able to find my shop, and I then, you know, went to look for my number. Mind you, we're about 45 minutes in. It is already about 9:25-ish, 9:25. I then start looking for my number. Nowhere to be found. The event started at 10 a.m. So I had about 30 minutes to get things ready. And I already knew off the bat that it was going to take me at least 1 hour to set everything up. This was really frustrating because my mistake, I did not practice how to set up the booth beforehand at home, because I just ran out of time prepping for everything and I just didn't practice it. I had like a visual in my head of how I would set everything up, but I didn't practice doing it. So this was the first time that I was doing this at the market, which is a big no-no. Like, ow, I just hit myself in the lip. Like, in my opinion, it is important that you practice how your booth is gonna look like before the day of the event or before the day of the craft fair, so that you already know what the routine is like, and you're able to figure out any solution that's necessary if anything were to arise when you were building it and you have the proper tools. Definitely try to practice building your booth before a craft fair. The baby came to visit. You want to say hi? Okay, say hi, the baby. Oh, the baby. Say hi, baby. I love you. All right, I gotta put you down so I can finish this. I finished completely setting up by 10:40 a.m., which was 40 minutes after the market had started. And I arrived 2 hours early. So there was still people walking in trying to set up their booth. It was 11 a.m. and there were still people setting up their booth because it was just so hard for people to get in. it was hard for people to find their place, and it was just absolute chaos. So the whole morning, the whole just trying to set up was very chaotic, and it really just, at least for me, it set up this like mood, this theme of this like disappointment, and it really did affect me. I then felt most of the day, I just felt really anxious, and I didn't feel at peace because I just had to rush to set up. So I felt like my booth wasn't set up correctly, and it just wasn't nice. And yeah, so I was dealing with that throughout the show. Throughout the event, like, I never officially met anyone that was hosting this event. Like, no one took time out of their day to come over to our vendor booths and at least say, hey, like, thank you so much for being part of today's show. We greatly appreciate it. And my lovelies, sorry, I had to take a quick break. I had to go pick up my son at school after wrestling practice. Sip of my delicious coffee. Yes, I'm drinking coffee. It's 6:22 p.m. and I'm drinking a nice little coffee with some whipped cream on top because I want to. So overall, my experience at this market was not great. It was terrible, and this is why I gave it a D+. My setup was really cute. I bought a lot of things for my setup because this is my first time that I ever did a market, so I had absolutely nothing. So the cost up front was a lot. It was absolutely a lot. I spent a lot of my own money, and this was another thing that made it hard for me to swallow this whole fact that this market did not work out as I really thought that there was going to be a better turnout for me, only because of the magnitude of the market. And it was being advertised on Facebook, and I've seen some advertised on Instagram, and this is a very popular place too. Like, a lot of people come in and out, but I guess I didn't do my deep research about the event. You know, I learned there that this was Longsplex first time ever hosting something like this. They've never had vendors before. This is the first time. And so, you know, that really does impact it a great deal. I also learned over there by other vendors that they were pushing to get vendors. And I remember when I applied, and I applied about 3 to 4 weeks before the actual event. And I remember when I sent a message in regards to applying, if they were still accepting vendors, because they were posting it as, we have limited spots left. And when I sent a message, they then sent me a message back. They're like, yes, we still have spots available. There's only 2 spots left, so make sure you apply. And so that's why I applied as quickly as I could, because I wanted to get in. And then when I was at the market, I learned that a majority of other vendors were told the same thing. They were told that there was only a couple spots left, and that they needed to apply to get in, or they only had like 3 to 4, 2 spots left as well. And this was a handful of vendors that said the same thing. So they were really pushing to get vendors to apply, because they were trying to put in as much people into this place as possible and make a lot of money, I think. So let's talk about earnings and what I made at this market. So my total earnings were $145. So I did make my booth money back barely by $45, and only because that day my sister shared a video that I sent to her. She shared it on her Facebook, and one of her co-workers saw that I was selling at a market, and they saw what I was selling, and he really wanted to buy a couple of items. So he bought 2 items, and he you know, he also contributed, and I included it in the earnings because, you know, it was made that day and it was off of my table. You know, I picked out those things that he wanted and I put them away from that table. A worker who liked one of the tumbler cups, and she also bought one too. But at the show, I only made 3 sales. One of those sales was for my neighbor, the other person that was selling next to me. They bought a tumbler, a 20-ounce tumbler, and then they bought a pair of car coasters. Then I had 2 more sales after that. So she was my first purchase, which was exciting to just know that someone liked my designs and they liked my products and that they were able to buy everything that sold. I sold 3 20-ounce tumblers. I sold 3 pairs of car coasters. I sold 1 glass can, and I sold 1 mouse pad. I'm sorry if you hear noises in the back, guys. My dog keeps going through my things. Several people did come over to my table. Like I said, the setup and the presentation of my table was very pink. And I'll post a video and pictures of what it looked like. And I had a very, very pink setup, so it was very like out there. Important for me to have a good presentation for my booth. I really wanted it to stand out, and I really just wanted it to look really nice and cute and just something that was in line with my business and, you know, the products that I sold. So I thought that it came out really well. People, you know, my neighbors around me at the show were very surprised to learn that it was my first time at a craft show, because they were just surprised by my presentation. They were like, your booth doesn't look like it's your first time doing this. I'm like, it was my first time, and I just did a lot of research and figuring out what I could use to really make my things pop out and give my booth some height, you know. I wish if I would have had a little more time that, you know, things would have probably been a little bit better. But it is hard, you know, when you work and try to run a small business and are a mom. Like, things are hard. It is very difficult, but as long as there's passion, it's doable. You do it. Takeaways, lesson learned from this craft market: do your research. I did a lot of research, but I did a lot of different research, and I did not do research on this particular event. I think that if I would have done research or asked questions, I would have found out that this place, you know, it was their first time, and maybe I would have found things out. But also what I learned over there is a lot of people were also in the blind. We were made to believe that this was an ongoing thing and that they knew what they were doing. Moving forward, I'm going to stick to small events. I will not participate in really massive events anymore. And what I mean by that is, if it's going to be a place that's going to have like 100 vendors or so, I just don't feel like I'm ready for that yet. Really start small with like places where they have like maybe 40-ish to 50 vendors, if not less. Very important that you talk to your customers, you talk to potential customers, and you just engage. Like, just like we engage on social media, we have to engage in real life. And I know for some people that's really uncomfortable, because that is something that's very uncomfortable for me. But I was able to work through it, and it's not going to stop me. You know, I have since then worked through it all. I know that it's not going to stop me from doing this in the future. I know I don't have any markets coming up anytime soon, only because during this season, up until probably after March, my son participates in wrestling, so I can't really have anything booked because I just have to be open for meets and tournaments. But it also gives me like a good break to really just reassess everything in regards to markets and find good markets that I can participate to in the spring and in the summer. And because I made friends at the craft fair, they also shared like different places that I can vend at too, or different places that I can do like craft markets. And this one person shared like this summer flea market that she does, and she's a crocheter, and she goes, it's $40, and you do have to be there early because it's first come first serve, but like it's $40 a table, and you just there a whole day at a flea market, and you just never know. You just never know. And I think it's important to remind yourself in the beginning that you're learning. So you're learning how to do craft markets, and you're learning what works for you, and you're learning what doesn't work for you, and you're gaining all this experience for craft markets and just understanding how it all functions. And once you gain that experience, then you decide afterwards, all right, okay, I'll do that again. I won't do that again, you know. Even people with tons of experience who have been doing this have setbacks too. It's pretty normal. I think it's important that you just keep going and push yourself. If this is something that you really want and you're passionate about, push yourself. Push yourself to those limits. At the end of the day, you are your biggest motivation. Yes, we have a support system, and I have a very great support system who I'm so thankful for, because they really do help me out doing this. However, at the end of the day, it's me against myself, because your mind can really bring you down and your mind can really tell you otherwise. So when you are having those moments, communicate with people, tell people like what's going on, and work through it, because you are capable of these things. But sometimes our inner critic really makes us feel like we're not. So I want to share this stand that my boyfriend made for me. So this was one of the stands that I had at the craft market, and this stand I made to put in all my car coasters. The entire stand was filled with car coasters, which looked absolutely pretty. I need to put in some photos. You probably at this point, you probably already seen like the photos and the setup. But I wanted to particularly talk about this stand. We pulled off this stand the night, so we built it like 2 days before, and then we painted it the night before the market, and we added these acrylic shelves to it, and I used it to put my car coasters in, and it just looked so pretty on the table, and I absolutely loved it. This was such a great idea. Like, I really wanted one of these, so I told my boyfriend, I'm like, you need to cut the wood up for me, and we need to paint this and just bring this to life. And it was his first time doing something like this. It was my first time doing something like this, and it turned out pretty well. You know, there's some rough edges here and there, but I'm actually thinking that we might even make some of these and maybe sell them. I think that if we make a couple and sell them, and maybe people would want for their markets. So it came out pretty awesome. All right, my lovelies. So I hope you have made it this far in the video. If you've made it this far, please comment pink hearts, because, you know, I love pink. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day and watching my videos. I hope that a lot of the things I spoke about today in between my little rants was helpful for you. If you did have any questions in regard to craft fairs or, you know, my experience, please comment below. Please ask me. Don't be afraid. I'll answer your question to the best of my abilities. If I don't have an answer, I will, you know, give you some guidance in where you can find a possible answer. But I just want to be as helpful as I can. If you have any questions about anything in general, please let me know. I'll try to answer the questions. If you haven't liked the video, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe to our channel if you like what you're watching. And please support. And I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day or night or whenever you've watched this. And take care, my lovelies. Bye.